We are towards the bottom of page Gimel. 6 lines on the bottom line begins with the word udrubbah. So we are discussing a principle, but the principle of Ratzon. And this is, just to keep us abreast with what's going on, this is in line of explaining the principle of mamutza. The keser, which is the Ratzon, is mamutza, be'amatzil and etzolim. Mamutza means that it connects the two, not that it facilitates the lower thing. It connects, it brings the aspect of the higher in connection and to connect with the lower. And that is found in the fact that the Ratzon, which is on a higher level, Ratzon comes from the essence, and this Ratzon has some kind of identity, what it wants. This was the Gilui. Therefore, that means that he has identified some kind of a personal shaykhs, personal connection to something external. Without that external, that additional aspect, that the Gilui, so to speak, the expression, there could not be Ratzon. Because Ratzon means a marutza, that he's moving out of his own self-containment. But then he says that, however, there is an instance, it would seem, where there is an uniform Ratzon, a gilui, without going out of himself. And that is in what's called oneg. That oneg, this we discussed last night. Oneg is totally an internal reality, and it can be misaneg from his own reality. So therefore, this means that there is an union of gilui, without going out for himself, without connecting to something external. So then he explains, however, this oneg is not really the union of gilui. In other words, this is not an expression of the nefesh. That he's misaneg in this union, that shows that this is what the nefesh has an interest in. So he says this is not the union from gilui. And this is where we're up to udrubbah. Okay, 6 lines on udrubbah, the country. Who bibchinas aliyah v'roimemus yoyse beho atzmos. The union from oneg does not constitute an extension and a gilui, an expression of himself. On the contrary, it constitutes, and it is the state where he actually goes deeper into himself. Aliyah v'roimemus, a greater supremacy, a greater rising into his etzem. This is when the oneg actually surfaces.
What aspect of Gilui is there here? Because I know we said it's Gilui, and then we said Ain's Indian Gilui Be'emes.
Right.
So in which way is it a Gilui then if it's only...
Okay. So this is what we always point out. It says Be'emes means to say that although it would seem that there is an union from Gilui, But when you examine it from a truth perspective, from a truth, you'll explain what means from truth, then you say that this is not Gilui Be'emes. The principle that it is Gilui is simply in the fact that the nefesh is occupied with something. The oneg. Even the thinking of himself, in his own essence. So he's occupied with what he is. That's in from Gilui. Which means that he is not just internally sitting complacently in himself, but he is occupied with something. The something may be himself. So the Rebbe explains, but this is not really the from Gilui, Be'emes. You have to bear me with this Inyan. It's extremely subtle. First, as we explained last night, this Inyan that he is into himself does not mean at all this which we have in really a problematic state when one is preoccupied, we say, in locked into himself. This is not what this is referring to. Locked into himself, Rahman al-Islam, is getting away, not wanting to know what's going on in himself. What is this pshat that he is misanig b'ho etzem shaloi? He's misanig in his etzem. This we explained, and we have to always remember. The etzem is a representation of the godly presence in him. Nothing has an etzem, nothing has a true presence, but for the fact that the Rebbe gave it. Something that develops on its own is never an etzem. He is misonic in the etzem that the Rebbe put into him. So he says, so the Choyra, this is a new from Gilui. He recognizes what the Rebbe put into him. So he said, but this is not Gilui Be'emes. Why is it not Gilui Be'emes? Because this is not going away from what the Rebbe gave him. On the contrary, it's going deeper into what the Rebbe gave him. It is not taking the quality that the Rebbe gave him and expressing them. On the contrary, it is going deeper into the godly element, into his etzem. That he is beroimamus, he is in a state of roimamus. Roimamus means elevation, elation. He's not interested in anything. He wants to go and see what is the source of this greatness that the Rebbe should put into me. This is not in from Gilui. Be'emes. Because where is he looking for this Gilui? In his essence, in that which was, in truth that was given to him.
This sounds like Shuv in contrast to Ratzon.
It would seem that way. But the element of shuv in this is that he's going back to his source. Going back to his source, the Emerson, in the Ratzon b'shuv, the shuv. What is the in from Ratzon b'shuv? This is a little bit off, but he mentioned it. The shuv is a recognition that really, as we're saying here, this what the Rebbe gave me, this is greater than anything that I can find for myself. So this is Liya Ratzon. He's going to the higher Inyan. Okay, we're not going to deviate here. The Alkain. Okay, I tell you, underline the beginning of Adar 6 lines from the bottom. The Alkain, and therefore, Tainuk Kozeh, this type of Tainuk, when he's Misanik, Beho Etzem Shaloi, Misanik with his own essence. Again, as we explained, let's remember this principle. Udavko, that is possible only b'mi shemeruma be'etzem. To someone, it's possible only by one shemeruma be'etzem who is in essence supreme. Remote and elevated. Ubizman, and in the moment of tachlis horei mushaloi, of the extreme of the pinnacle of his supremacy. In those moments, in the pinnacle of his supremacy, this is when he senses the Dainuk B'Etzem Shalei.
Rabbi.
Well, 1 second, it's not the time. There was a story that the Ratzon was stuck in the elevator. She had a little riser on the steps, and it got stuck. So she called Chaim Baruch, or what it was. She called him from the top of the steps, and he should come and release her. The front door was locked, and he didn't have the key. So he said, he wants to go through the window. So then you call the Rebbe and says, I can't go to the window because the Rebbe is sitting facing the window. How can I go through the window? So she said, go, he won't notice you. Kahava, he went to the window. There was absolutely no cognizance whatsoever, not a flicker. Rebbe was sitting by the window looking wherever he was looking in, and he passed him by without anything happening. You can imagine it's not an easy thing. You have to come to the window and avoid touching. You know, it's very challenging, but no notice whatsoever. What was the Rebbe at the time? Was he involved or not? Was he in a trance? God forbid. You know, what does it mean? He wasn't here. He was here to the fullest.
How's that here to the fullest?
I'm sorry?
How is that here to the fullest? He's beyond here. He's
Here
himself.
in himself. Here, he was. Here does not mean here. Here in himself. We have to understand a very important principle. This is, so to speak, a bit country, revolutionary, you could say. In truth, wherever you look, you see Atzmos Holocaust. The Rebbe was sitting there and looking out. Was he looking at? Of course, he was looking. And whatever he was looking at, this did not interfere with the purity of his thought. On the contrary. Okay, let's continue here. We have a few more minutes. Ukmoy HaMelech. Okay, this is 5 lines from the bottom. Ukmoy HaMelech. As in the case of the Melech. For example, the Melech. Betachlis Horoi Mamushaloi. In the extreme, in the pinnacle of his supremacy. Shemisaneg, where he delights, betainok poshut v'yatzmi. He delights with a tainok, what's called tainok poshut, an undefinable tainok. What am misaneg in? V'yatzmi, an essential tainok. A tainok has no definition. Leime yesh dover, not from something, from some experience. The tainok is not from some experience. Kiyim, only be'etzem roimemus atzmai. In the essence of roimemus atzmai, of the roimemus that is invested in him.
Why is it that this can only be by someone who's Mereim and Be'etzem?
One second. We have to wait until we finish the whole thing. A melech serves to us as a moshel, although we are far from understanding what a melech is. But one thing we know with a melech, please understand the following. Like we said, the pikach picks the melech. What is the pimsa that picks the melech? Anyone who is a great man with a great mind, he is a great engineering, he is a great philosopher, he's a great poet, he's a great whatever it is. His greatness expresses itself in one way or another. The Melech is in a different state of greatness. The Melech encompasses and facilitates the growth of every facet possible in human development. He provides for the greatest philosopher. He provides for the greatest engineer, for the greatest scholar, for the greatest. He provides for the growth and development of any individual in any direction that they want to go. That's what the Melech is. Because he has a state, an element of supremacy. Anyone who pursues a certain field becomes adept, he becomes a great mathematician. He reaches mathematics like in this intangible mathematics, where there is not even a way of expressing what it contains, what it consists of. This state of supremacy, of pinnacle, exists in every field, whether mathematics or philosophy or music or art, in every field. The Melech encompasses and provides for all of that. How so? Because this supreme supremacy by him is undefined in a specific thing. Not that he grows because he had become an expert in such and such. It's what's called Reimus Atzmi. Again, bringing back the initial statement I made. This Reimer, this greatness, does not originate. Is not originated by human prowess, by human development, by human expertise. This greatness is provided for by motivation, by that which is higher than any mitzias. This is where this all comes from. This is what provides for it. Now we can also say pshitos or atzmos. The supremacy of atzmos on a poshut level, undefined, unrelated to any particular pursuit, any particular quality. Everyone pursues that same greatness in their own way. The Melech is at the pinnacle of this greatness, the way it comes from Atzmos. Not as it is going through his seichel and developed in his talent, like everyone else. This is why, as we mentioned the other day, every day lately, the crown. The crown is not a garment. The crown is not an ornament. The crown is symbolic. And what is symbolic of? It's symbolic of a reality beyond definition. Not only beyond definition on the functional level, but even in terms of ornamentation, in terms of aesthetics, of beauty, is beyond anything. That's what the crown is symbolic of. And that's what the Melech is. To be continued in Mitzvah Shem. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great day.
So if I want